All right. Well, welcome everybody. I hope we're all very energetic and excited for the rest of the program. I know we have Jackie coming up after I speak, and I hope you'll stick around for that. And this has just been a really exciting day. So I'm going to share my slides here. Let me know if you guys can see this okay. Are we good? Okay. So this is a brief negotiation workshop. Now, before we get started, I'm just going to give you a little bit about my story, who I am, so you know me. I've been in this community for a while. I started my coaching business a year ago, but my background, now you heard Jermaine talk about how he was from this little place called Staten Island, New York City. Well, I was born in Brooklyn and moved to Rochester, New York, which is basically, if you go to Toronto and look south, you'll see Rochester. It's the other side of Lake Ontario. It's closer to Buffalo, closer to Niagara Falls. Great area. And that's where I've pretty much lived most of my life. I worked in radio when I was in high school, and I play in a couple of different bands right now, musician. And for the last 20 plus years, I've been working in the field of investigations. Before that, I did real estate and mortgage banking. So, I mean, I've been pretty diverse. What got me into coaching, though, was kind of like my clients right now. There are people out there who are just feeling stuck. They get up on Monday and they go to a job and they're like, you know what? I just feel that life owes me more. I mean, I feel that there's more to life than just getting up on Monday. They dread the Monday. You can't wait for Friday. Well, I want people to live like every day is a Friday. So with that in mind, I started my coaching business and I haven't looked back since. I have a podcast, Strive to Thrive, the Purposely Positive Podcast. I've done a workshop just recently on podcasting. I know some of you might have been in the interviewing portion of that. So that is my background. Why do I teach negotiations? Well, what is negotiations? Let me ask you that first. Basically, the dictionary defines it as a mutual arrangement of the terms of a transaction or an agreement. So that's the technical term. But really, what I like to teach is the art of negotiations, is the art of letting somebody else have your way. It's not their way, it's not your way, it's your way. And really, all of life is a negotiation. Every day we negotiate with ourselves, getting out of bed in the morning. Myself, I've never really been a morning person, so I lay there and I negotiate with the snooze alarm. Driving to work, that's a negotiation. Which way are you going to take? You know, what lane are you going to go in? Is that guy in front of you driving, too slow? Should I move in the other lane or should I stay where I am? What you eat, almost every interaction that you have is a negotiation. So why do we fear or avoid negotiation? How many of you guys fear negotiations? Unfortunately, I can't see all of you. So that's one of the things when you're sharing your screen on this. But all right, I'll take my word for it that some of you raised your hands. Fear in negotiation is that's the biggest thing. How many of you have been to that car dealer and you go and you're looking at a car and you look out of the corner of your eye and here comes Mr. Salesman strutting right over to you and you know he's going to try to sell you and you're like, oh boy, I don't know what I'm going to do now. And then you're sitting down making the deal and then he turns around and he walks over and says, oh, I have to go talk to my manager. And he goes and talks to his manager and they're probably in there talking about the ball game last night while you think that they're talking about the deal that you're making. And then the salesman lets you sit there uncomfortably and comes out. So that is kind of what we think of as negotiation, but it's not just that. So let's get into this a little bit with your most important negotiating tool. Now, believe it or not, it's your voice. Most people, when they get involved in some kind of negotiation, they think they need to use the dominant voice because they need to take charge. So they get that dominant voice going and they try to kind of talk over the other person. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pay that. No, I'm not going to do this. This is what I want. And it doesn't get you anywhere. It just usually frustrates the other person, frustrates you, sometimes makes the other person angry. So give that up. Don't use the dominant voice. Now, there are times, and I could teach this if we had a lot more time. There are certain times where you can use the dominant voice, but 99% of the time, don't use it. There's the smiley voice. And so what I want you to do is practice smiling. Just smile. And let me give you a tip about smiling. There's the real smile and the fake smile. When you really smile, you can actually see like the creases in somebody's eyelids right here when you're face reading. So when you fake smile, you can see somebody with a, they have this fake smile and you can tell it's fake. So you need a real smile when you smile and talk to somebody. Now, the best way to do that, maybe you don't feel like smiling, think about something that makes you smile. I always think of my kids or my cats. I have 3 cats, so I can smile right now. You can probably see it. Thinking of them makes me smile. So when you smile and you talk, you have a very pleasant voice, and most people will respond better to that. The other thing is what I like to call your yoga voice. Now, how many of you have taken yoga before? You ever listen to the yoga instructor and it's very quiet, and it's almost like when you're meditating, when you breathe and talk really quiet, really slow, it has a very calming effect. So when you're in a negotiation, it's very good to bring in that yoga voice, bring in that very calming effect. So the other thing is to do mirroring. Now, mirroring gets a bad rap because most people don't do it right. If you're taught to mirror somebody, usually you do it to the extreme. Let me just kind of look through the crowd here and see if I can mirror somebody. Okay, so there's somebody out there who's doing this right now. Yep, and he's smiling, and so mirroring him. Now, if I just did that casually while I was talking, he probably wouldn't have picked it up. But since I brought it to your attention, you picked it up. Now, one of the things about when you mirror somebody is it gives you the impression that I'm like them. So I'll give you a couple of quick tips about mirroring. You don't have to do it physically. You can actually do it verbally. And the way you do that is you listen to key phrases of what the other person is saying and repeat it back. And usually the last 3 words are the best ways to use mirroring. So let me give you a great example. Let's say your boss, for those of you who are still working regular jobs as well as in your business, but let's use the example. Your boss says, you know what, your work is behind. I need you to work late tonight. Now, what you should do there is use the little phrase, I'm sorry, and then repeat back the last words in the form of a question. For example, it would be, I'm sorry, work late tonight? What that does is it brings it back to them for a response. So you don't want to turn it into a confrontation. If you said something like, well, what do you mean I got to work late tonight? I got things to do. That's going to be a confrontation. But if you just look and say, I'm sorry, work late tonight, let them answer. So maybe he'll say, well, yeah, because we really have this deadline and we have to meet it, and your work has been a bit behind. A bit behind? You catching on? So then he has to go in, and basically what you're doing is you're in a polite way, a non-threatening way, turning the conversation back to the other person. So they have to go on and explain why they're asking you to do something. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, I can't see the chat, so I would, all right, so let me move on. Turn your I want into a negotiation goal. Now, this is what negotiation is all about. You want something. When you go into negotiation, you want something. Now, as an investigator and working in the field of investigations, taking witness statements, talking to suspects, I wanted the truth. I wanted a confession. So that's what I wanted. So when I would talk to the person who was in front of me, I wanted them to give me the truth. So in my negotiations, that's what I was looking for. But you may be looking for something different. You may be wanting to pay, say, $15,000 for that car you're looking at. Maybe you want to raise. Maybe when you're talking to your clients, you want them to sign up for your coaching program. When you go to a hotel, maybe you want an upgrade. You want them to give you that room with the king size bed, or that room with the view to the outside rather than the view to the inside area. You may want to upgrade your seat accommodations on a plane. Or for those parents out there, you just want your kids to eat their vegetables. So your goal is what you want. So at the beginning of any investigation, the beginning of every negotiation, decide what you want. Make that your goal. So write that down. I want X. That's my goal. That's my goal in the negotiation. But goal number 2 is to discover as much as possible about the other person and what they want, and don't just assume. So if you're negotiating to buy something, they have a reason that they want to sell something. Now, I'm a musician, so I've bought guitars a lot over the years. In fact, if you ever meet a musician, when I was married, I used to joke because my ex-wife would always say, "Are you buying another guitar?" I say, "Another guitar?" No, I have. There's no such thing as too many guitars for a musician. So anyway, they may be selling the guitar because they're having financial difficulty, or they may be selling guitar because they want to buy another guitar and they need the money for that. You have to listen and you find out what they want, you find out what their needs are, and do not engage in selective listening. Always listen to understand. So write that down. Listen to understand. If you take anything away from you today, that is the key phrase I want you guys to take away. Always listen in any conversation to understand. Now, what everybody in the negotiation is looking for is, quote, what's in it for me? Everybody has a what's in it for me mindset. And if you think about it, you do too. When you go someplace and you want to buy something, you're always looking at what's in it for you. So for me, what's in it for me was to get that witness statement. So let me tell you a little bit about how, as an investigator, I used to talk to someone into giving me a witness statement. Now, as a private investigator, I worked for a lot of accident cases. So the attorney would send me an accident report, and I'd have to take this accident report and go to see one of the witnesses. Now, when I go knock on their door, they probably don't want to see me or talk to an investigator. They don't want to give a statement. They're busy, they're having dinner, they're doing something in their life. So how can I motivate that person to give me what I want, which is the witness statement? So what I used to do was simply this. I would say, look, I'm really sorry to bother you right now. Did I catch you at a bad time? Now, that invokes a no response, which we'll talk about later. If they say, yes, they did, then I would transition into, well, would there be a better time? Or I'm only going to take a minute. Can you spare 2 minutes? Let me just tell you what's going on. But if they say, no, it's not a bad time, then it opens up the door for you to talk. Again, we'll talk a little bit about that later. But I would say that I catch you at a bad time and I say, look, all I need to do is, do you see this police report? Your name is listed as a witness in this accident. And, the attorney who I'm working for would like to have me take a statement. Now, what I wanted to do is come to see you here and do you a favor, because if I take a statement, we'll be in and out of here in like 10 minutes. And the insurance company will probably settle this accident, and this will be the last you hear of it. But the thing is, if we don't get your statement and this thing ends up going to court, well, that could mean subpoenas would be involved. You would have to go to court. You would have to take time off from work. So you wouldn't want to have to take a lot of time off from work for this. I mean, wouldn't it be easier for you just to give me a statement? Do you see what I'm doing there? Is I'm giving them the motivation to give me the statement, to take that few minutes to talk to me now, because otherwise a subpoena later means it's going to be more inconvenient for you. So knowing what's in it for me, but also knowing what's in it for them. And their mindset is they just want to take care of this, get rid of it right away. They want to make it go away. If they could make me go away, they would be happy. But if they know that if they make me go away, it may come back to bite them later, then they would be more in line to sit and talk to me. So the other thing is everybody wants to feel like they have something of value. Now, this is in any negotiation, everything that somebody has, they have a value. Your services are of value. Someone's time is of value. If someone is selling something, they have a value on that item. In fact, when someone is selling something, they put a dollar amount on something. So they have a value item on that. So you need to go into it knowing that. Empathy. Empathy is the key in all negotiations. Now, what is empathy? Now, empathy doesn't necessarily mean you have to agree with the other person. Empathy is basically just understanding where they're coming from. You know, I had some pretty bad people in front of me over the years, people who stole things, hurt people, just did bad things. And now I could still have empathy for them, but I certainly didn't agree with them. And I certainly didn't have any sympathy for them because, again, they were doing bad things, but I could still show empathy. And if I showed them empathy, they would be more likely to cooperate and give what's in it for me in the negotiation. So you don't have to agree with it, just feel it, show it back to them, and then mirror it in their words. So does anyone have any questions at this point in time? Again, I can't see the chat, so if Eldiko or Rena or somebody is there who could say if are there any questions at this point? Okay, great. Makes sense for everybody. So I'm going to talk a little bit about using labels to show empathy. Now, this is a great way to do it. Once you've gotten the information, always use open-ended questions. You don't want to ask questions that just require a yes or no answer. You want to get the other person talking because the more they talk, the more information you get from them. And the more information you get, the better you will be in your negotiation. So I like to use phrases like, it seems like, it feels like, it looks like, it sounds like, because what I'm doing is I'm labeling their emotions. Now, I'm not saying that it's true. I'm just saying it sounds like. For example, let's say you're negotiating. Let's use that example with your boss. Your boss wants you to work late, and you follow up with the mirroring. He says, work late tonight? And he says, yeah, you're behind in your work. Behind in my work? Well, yeah, we have this deadline. So it seems like you need me to stay late tonight because you have this deadline and you think working late is the only way I'm going to be able to take care of this project. And then you be quiet. What I put in the slide here is just shut up and listen to what they say when you describe it back to them, because they will tell you everything you need to know. Now, we have this uncomfortability with silence. When someone pauses, we get really uncomfortable. But we have to stand strong, be silent, and let the mirror do the work. So it seems like you believe that my getting behind or my staying late tonight will help with the work getting caught up for you in the department. And just be quiet and listen. Now, the other thing is, it doesn't mean what you're saying is true. So just by you saying it feels like or it sounds like, you're not agreeing with them. You're just summarizing what they just said. That makes sense? So what does this all lead to? It leads to one of the keys in negotiation, and that is your right versus that's right. Now, think about it. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and they're very opinionated and they sit there and they tell you, think about like a husband and wife situation. You're late from work. You come home work you come home from work late, or you come home late, or maybe you didn't, you left the toilet seat up for the 15th time, and they sit there and they argue with you and they say, well, you did this and you did this. And, you just say, you're right. I should take care of that. Why did you say you're right? You didn't say it because you believed what they said was right. You said it because you just wanted them to go away. How many of you have done that in a negotiation or in a conversation with somebody? Said, yeah, you're right, but you just wanted to get them to be quiet, move on, end the conversation because you didn't want to deal with it anymore. So when somebody says you're right, it's not a good thing. But when somebody says that's right, that means that they believe that what you said is true and they have come to that conclusion on their own. So people want to say that's right because that's when they feel that they are understood. Because again, people have a basic need to be understood. So when you get them to say that's right, that will open up a whole new line of things for you. So now also don't fear correction again, because if you get your summary wrong, then people will feel good when they correct you. So if you're in an argument with someone, let's use that boss example again. I'll come back. I keep coming back to the same example. So the boss wants you to work late. You follow up and then you summarize. You say, well, you believe that me staying late tonight will help the department get caught up with the work, or you believe me staying late tonight will be the way I can get caught up with my work. And that's probably because you're very frustrated with the fact that we do get behind, and sometimes people do get behind in their work. And you sit there and you summarize every thought that is going on in the other person's head. You take their point of view, and when you get them to say that's right, now again, you don't have to agree with them. You're just looking to say that's right. And using how and what questions will lead you to their answers. Remember earlier when I said, when you ask them open-ended questions, they will tell you everything you need to know. So by doing that, you can summarize that back to them. Now, if you get it wrong, then they'll correct you. And then what do you think you do there? How many of you have an idea what you think you're going to do there? Say that or put it in the chat. I can't see the chat, unfortunately. Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can see it now. Yeah, here it is. All right, I found the chat. Yes, do it again. Okay, and depends on what your goal is. Very good. Very good. Anybody else have any other?
There's a question, Tony.
Yes.
Is it wrong to say just okay in a in the negotiation and then just stay quiet?
What I usually do is I always ask the question, or I always mirror. I never usually acknowledge and say yes or no, yes or no. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit in a few minutes about how to say no a much better way. So if, for example, you have summarized what they said and they corrected you, what I would do at that point is I would repeat back to them what they just said, summarize it. And you're looking for them to say, that's right, or no, there's other ways they can say it. They could just say, yes, exactly. Those are ways of saying it. But when they are agreeing with what you just summarized, and they're not just trying to push you away, that is when you know that you've built a connection. And really, building that connection is so important in any negotiation. So again, I could really dig deep into a lot of these topics for simplicity's sake and for time. In this workshop, I'm just kind of skimming over everything a little bit at a time. So I'm going to move on to something called Getting to Yes. Now, there was a book out by Roger Fisher called Getting to Yes, and that was the gold standard. Now, you guys have probably heard about the Yes Ladder. Who's heard of the Yes Ladder? The Yes Ladder is when you start asking a bunch of questions to try to get the yes word to give it momentum. And for example, you may get a phone call, a telemarketer will call you and say, hey, I'm just calling to ask, do you want to save money on your heating bill? Well, of course, the obvious answer is yes. And what they will do is they will continue to ask yes questions until they get to their final yes is, we have a salesman in the area who has windows that they want to show you. Would you like to come or would you like to have our person come out and talk to you? You know, that's a very simple example, but that's what the yes ladder is all about. Now, when I teach persuasion, one of the things that I teach is there's a very subtle way to use the yes ladder. And that is to not say yes, but when you ask the question that you're expecting a yes answer to, you subtly shake your head, very subtle. Okay. You guys want to just practice that for a second, just a subtle head shake where they can barely catch you. You don't want to make it real obvious. You're going to say, so let's say you're a coach and you're signing up your client and you're telling them, you, your next step would be to enroll in my 90-day coaching package. And you're shaking your head, yes. Their mirror neurons will pick up that subtle yes. But that is something you're doing non-verbally. When you're doing it verbally, it's totally different. So why do we reject the other portion, the verbal portion of the no or of the yes ladder? Well, there's a book out there and I'd recommend it. It's right here. It's called Start with No. It's by a gentleman by the name of Jim Camp, and he's come up with a new improved version. And that is to start by getting a no response by asking a no question. So the reason you do that is because getting to yes always arouses suspicion, and people want to feel comfortable and they want to feel in control. And when they are being asked a question like, gee, would you like to save money on your gas and electric bill? You automatically have that feeling of, oh, this person is trying to control me by getting me to say yes, and your suspicion is aroused. So by getting to no, it will satisfy the primal urge to feel safe and be in control. So here are some of my favorite no questions. And I use the other one, and I showed you this before when I knocked on that door to get that witness statement. Did I get you at a bad time? Now, I go to a lot of bars and clubs to try to sell my band. And one of the things that I do is I'll sit down and I'll ask to speak to the owner, the manager, whoever is in charge of booking the bands. And the first thing I always ask him is, hey, it's nice to meet you. Did I get you at a bad time? Now, if it really is a bad time, they're going to tell me, and that might not be a good time to sit down and have a proper negotiation, because one of the things you need in a good negotiation is time. So if it's really a bad time, then you can set up another time to come back. But most of the time I find that these people say, no, is there something I can help you with? And then you kind of go on from there. So the first question I ask is a no question. And again, it relaxes them. It gives them the need emotionally and psychologically to feel safe and in control. Another thing that I like is to say, would it be a crazy idea if X? Would it be a crazy idea if you started working with me with your fitness needs? Would it be a crazy idea if we worked together to help you come up with a diet that would really fit your daily needs? Again, would it be a crazy idea if? So that's not saying, hey, would you like to sign up with me in my program? No, would it be a crazy idea if? It satisfies their primal need to say no. I use the other one. Is it a bad idea? Is it a bad idea to, and then you go on with that. One of my favorites is, have you given up on working together? And this is one of the things I'll use when I want to send an email to somebody who hasn't communicated with me in a while. Have you given up on working together? Have you given up on working on this project? And again, because you're invoking the no response, it really changes everything. So just a couple more things. The next thing is a simple format to negotiate prices. Now, everybody talks about negotiating prices, and it's probably the biggest area of negotiations. So one of the things you do is you have to come up with a target price. Remember in the beginning, I said, what do you want? What is your I want goal? So set your target price. So let's say, for example, I want to buy a guitar. A guy is selling it. He's asking $1,400, and I only want to pay $1,000 for that guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my target price, my first at, or at $1,000, because that's what I want to pay. But my first offer is 65% of that price. Why 65%? Because it's a shock thing. It gives them, it shocks the other person. Then I calculate 3 increments for raising that price along the way. So I go, okay, I want to pay $1,000, but my first price will be $650. Then I go to 75%. Notice how I use an easy number like $1,000 so that I don't have to calculate much math. 750, 850, and then I go all the way up to my target price of $1,000. Always use empathy to say no without saying no. And one of my very favorite phrases, and I got this from a guy by the name of Chris Voss. Chris Voss is a negotiation expert. He used to work for the FBI on their hostage negotiation team. And he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference, another book I highly recommend. And his favorite phrase is, how am I supposed to do that? So when somebody gives you a price or gives you a term, even working late at night. Let's go back to that boss example again. You know, I really need you to work late tonight. Work late tonight? Well, yeah, we're getting behind in our work, and I really need you to stay late so we can get caught up. Well, how am I supposed to do that? Again, you're turning that back on the other person. Now they have to answer. So the other thing that you can say is, I'm sorry, that's a really fair offer or really fair price, but it just doesn't work for me. So you're saying no without saying no. So let me give you this example. So I go to buy this guitar. The guy wants $1,400 for it. I go and have a conversation with them and look at them and say, $1,400? And he says, well, yeah, well, how am I supposed to do that? Said, well, you came here, you're going to write a check or pay cash. And I said, well, I'm sorry, that's a really fair price, but it just doesn't work for me. Be quiet, see if they answer, because you're always going to try to let the other guy go first when it comes to naming a price. So if they don't go first, then that's when I come in with my shock price and I go, well, would you take $650 in cash? And of course he goes, $650? I want $1,400. That's like half. So that's kind of where you start. Then it'll give you 3 more increments to raise the price. So to 750, 850, and to 1,000. Now, when I got to the 1,000 or the 100% of what I wanted to pay, what I like to use is a precise number. And the example that I use is $5,381. Well, for $1,000, maybe I'll say $1,021.75. Have you ever noticed that whenever you're buying some type of coaching package, it's always $997 or $1997 because it's more of it's not a precise number. For some reason, psychologically, precise numbers work better. So what I would do in that particular case then is work my way up using all the skills that I've taught you so far, mirroring, asking how questions, and finally trying to find out why they want the price that they want. But then after you've gone 750, 850, now I'm up to 1,000. What I will do is I'll have my checkbook with me. I'll pull out my checkbook and I'll say, hang on, could I borrow a pen for a second? And then I just start scribbling for a second. And I just kind of write down some numbers just at random, because I already know what I'm going to say. Go, you know what? I sat down and I figured it out, and I can offer you $1,022. And they're going to look at $1,022. And in the back of their mind, they're going, why is that such an unusual why didn't they just offer me 1,000 or 1,100? Usually when you give them a precise number, it just gives them a psychological feeling that that is how much you can afford. That is your maximum number. And if you've done this from 650, 750, 850, now you're up to that, or $992.50. You're up to that precise number. If you're going to get to your price, that's how you're going to get them to agree to it. Now, the other thing is, and this is at the bottom of this page, when you compromise, nobody gets what they want. So when you split the difference, it means that you're going to be settling. So one of the key things about a good negotiator is you're always willing to walk away from the negotiation. So that is, if another thing that if you take anything else with you today, always remember that. Once you've decided that you want something, you have to have it, nothing else will stand in your way, that usually will close the door on your negotiation. So I'm going to close out with these tips. People want to be understood and accepted. After you give a response or a question, be quiet, pay attention. A good negotiator makes it about the other person, not about themselves. So try to figure out why they want what they want. You also want to get the other person vested in helping you. So the story that I use is, let's say you want to buy jewelry for your significant other. So you go into the jewelry store and you don't just go and pick something out and say, hey, show me this. You go and you describe to the clerk, this is what I want, and have them help you. Have the store clerk actually work with you. Have her invest some time with you. You can do that same thing when you go to a car dealership. Have the person work with you, invest in you. They become invested in helping. And then when the price comes up, then you could say something like, well, $57.95? How am I supposed to do that? They're already been invested and they're used to helping you. So now when you say that to them, it's going to make them go, well, maybe we can do this, or, well, let me see if I can offer you a discount. So that is where making it about the other person and not about yourself, it really is the key. And controlling your emotions, because you can't expect to influence the emotions of others if you can't control your own. And it's never personal. It's always the issue at hand. So I would like to see if maybe we could do an exercise. Do we have time to run an exercise where we can break out in a couple of breakout sessions if you guys are interested? What I'd like to do is to work to see if you can come to a "that's right" statement. See if you can practice that. Practice using the yoga voice, practice using the "I'm sorry," mirroring the words with another person. If we have time, maybe we could take 10 minutes and break everybody into a group. We could do groups of 2, groups of 3.
Yes, we do. How many people would be best in a room?
How many people?
Yeah, is best in a room. How shall I set it up for you?
We could probably do, I would think, groups of 2 or groups of 3.
Some people are requesting to do a demo here instead. So maybe you can pick some.
You know what?
And practice.
Okay.
That would be excellent.
Let's show hands. Who would rather see a demo? Would that be a better thing for you guys? Okay. Let's do a demo then. Who would like to be a volunteer for the demo? And I'll let you guys pick the person, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can do this.
Yeah, perhaps if you're interested, press the reactions button so we can see you. Otherwise it's difficult. Kai, oh, here you go. Hello.
Hi.
I'm going to speak with you if that's okay.
Yes, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm from Norway, so
okay.
And I don't speak English every single day, so I speak two other languages daily. So,
You speak
but
how many languages?
I'm gonna manage.
You're going to manage
Yes.
this. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So let's come up with a scenario. All right. Let's say that you are my boss.
Yeah.
What kind of work do you do besides coaching? Do you have another career that you're involved with at this point, or are you just doing the coaching?
I'm a marketer.
You're a marketer. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I
So let's say that we have a client who we're
Yes.
trying to help with their marketing,
Yes.
and I'm behind in my deadline, and it's Memorial Day weekend, and it's the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, and you need me to work Memorial Day weekend because there's a deadline.
Okay.
Okay.
That is not gonna be so easy.
Okay. So you come to me and you say, Tony, I need you to work late this weekend, and then we'll role play from here.
Okay, Tony, I need that you to work a little bit late today for me because we have a deadline, and if we're gonna deliver in time, we're gonna have some bonus, which
gonna
we're
have some-
gonna yes,
We're going to have some bonus.
yes, and we have to share with the others.
We have to
Think
share.
about that. Yeah, of course, the bonus which we're gonna get from the client if we deliver in time, we're gonna share with the people.
Share with the people the bonus. For
Yes,
so what do you need me to
to
do?
to work a little bit late today,
Work a little bit.
overtime,
Work a little bit late
overtime.
today.
Yes,
Memorial Day weekend.
yes, but think if we manage to deliver in time, we're gonna get that bonus, and we're gonna share with all the employees here. Sounds great for you?
Bonus sounds great, but working on Memorial Day weekend, how am I supposed to do that?
You didn't ask how much is the bonus.
How much is the bonus?
Yeah, it's gonna be, I'm gonna came out now. I don't know in America how much is gonna be a value, but I'm gonna say yes. I make a calcul, and it's gonna be 500 each.
500.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Mm,
And you don't have to work too much hours. Just 3-4 hours is gonna be okay. Because
3-4
we're gonna
hours.
reach, yes, we're gonna reach the target.
When is the deadline?
Monday,
Deadline is Monday.
and today it's Friday. Yes,
Today is Friday.
I'm
But it's
gonna.
So you have a deadline that you're up against, and you need people to work late because you need to make this Monday deadline. So you're in a bad position right now. So you're asking us to take our time on our holiday weekend and work over the weekend. But you're also saying that maybe if I can work an hour late tonight and get this done, then I wouldn't have to work the rest of the weekend.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Sounds great.
Okay. So let's do that. So what happened there? You kind of got what you wanted because I found out what you really wanted. And I didn't want to work I don't want to get stuck working the weekend. So I didn't have to work I didn't have to work 3 hours. I only get to work an hour later. So that's kind of what happened in that scenario.
Yes,
That,
I give it to you a value,
mm-hmm.
price.
Yep.
If you take that,
Mm-hmm.
you have more.
Right. Now I could have
After that.
negotiated, I could have changed this and tried to
Yes.
negotiate the bonus, but I didn't want to go that way because I was just focusing on trying to not have to work the weekend and by working for an extra hour. Now we could have probably drilled down a little bit more, but for time's sake, I didn't want to take up too much
Yes.
time. So
Was great.
Well, I appreciate that. So,
Yes, thank you.
all right. Does anyone else have any questions while I can see the chat before I go back to the last couple slides? Has this been valuable for you guys? Has it been helpful? Great. Question. What if it would have taken 4 hours and not 1? At that point, I may have turned the negotiation on the price because I didn't want to work the weekend. But if I'm going to have to work, you know, there's always, you know, I say don't split the difference, don't make a compromise, but sometimes, you know, there is room, because you really have to know what your goal is. And my goal in that particular scenario was not to get stuck working Memorial Day weekend. And for me to work 1 hour wasn't too bad. If I'm going to have to work like an extra 4 hours on Friday night, then I would have probably negotiated more on the price. So, okay, let me go back to the slides, and I'm just going to finish up here. For more information for me, if anybody is interested in reaching out, 2 things. First off, I would like to follow in Jermaine's footsteps. I have an ebook. It's called Strive to Thrive. It's about taking that moment in your life, that wake-up call moment is what I call it in your life, and turning that where you can go from striving to thriving in your life. It's a short ebook, and I will send it to you for totally free. Just email me, coachtonyw@outlook.com. The other thing is, I do have an extended course called Negotiation Activation, which is basically a more in-depth version of this. It's actually a 6-week class. The 6-week class starts on June 23rd. It's Wednesday, and it's a 40-minute live class. It starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm in New York, so at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And there'll be 6 classes starting June 23rd. And I just going to throw this out there. Again, you guys take what you learned today. If you learned something today, I want you to just use it. All right. And if that's enough for you, great. Follow up with some of the books that I suggested, and read the books. You can learn a lot about negotiations. But if you really want to take it to the next level, then I just want to give you this option, and that would be to take the class. Now, I normally charge $695 for the 6-week class. I've been running a post-COVID jumpstart at $395, but for this class, if anybody is in this class, I'll give it to you for $297, which is a great price. But again, I'm not here to have you guys sign up for the class. I'm here to try to teach you something of value in negotiation. So if you learned something here today, great. If you're interested in going deeper, excellent. You know, shoot me an email, write activate my negotiations in the email, and then I'll send you more information. But write to me and I'll send you the free ebook. So that is all I have. I really totally appreciate having you guys here today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak at such an amazing event. It's just been awesome to be here. And again, I hope I delivered some value to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Tony. We didn't see the slides just now.
You didn't?
No, you weren't sharing.
Ah, I was naughty. I could see the slides, but
Tony, we have a few questions. If you have
sure.
5 minutes,
Absolutely.
Very keen to hear about how you would have a conversation about the coaching package.
How we have a conversation there about what?
So when you're not the buyer, but you are the person who are trying to get a good price for your service, for example, as a consultant.
Oh yeah, it works exactly the same way. You ask the same type of questions because every person has something that they're trying to achieve, and every person has a story, and there's a reason that they want to achieve that. If you're negotiating if I'm selling a guitar, again, I use the guitar as an example, and I want to get 1,500 for this guitar, and somebody comes to me and, the reason they're offering me 650 is because, you know what, they only have, $1,000. And in my mind, I can't afford to sell this guitar for less than 1,200. Then I have to do the same negotiating back and forth with that person. So I have to basically do the kind of reverse engineer what I just did in the buying side of it. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Ronald is asking if you could share the previous slide.
That one?
Information. Yes, so they can take
Yes,
the email addresses.
I read their mind because I was just flipping that over when you when you guys asked that.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Could we perhaps
Let's
have
ask
another?
a demo on selling coaching services.
A demo on coaching services?
Yeah, we haven't.
Sure.
We have 7 minutes left.
Well, then let's demo that. All right, I'll stop the share.
So who would like to do it with Tony? Ella, would you like to do it? Please press the reaction button because we can't see everyone on the screen. Roz would love to. Okay, great.
Okay.
I'll put you on spotlight, Roz. Actually,
I can't find my unmute. There we go. Hi.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I don't see you. Are we double screened yet?
Could you
Oh.
spotlight her? Yes, please.
There you are. Hey, Roz.
Hey there, Tony. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's great. So I actually had an experience with someone where I had sold her on a coaching package or a hypnosis package. She was all in, actually sent me the check, but she was like a couple $100 less than what I'd asked. And then she said, well, I thought this was how much you said it was. And then she backed out completely because she was like, oh, that's too expensive. And I didn't get to have a conversation with her because she wouldn't answer the phone. And I'm just like, how do I try to save the deal? Because I know I can help her.
Okay. So the first thing you're going to want to do there, Roz, is to set your negotiation goal there. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to salvage the client, or are you trying to get the balance of the money? Is there a compromise in your mind that you're willing to take? You need to know what your goal is. And that's the very first thing that you have to do. Any negotiation, before you go out to go somewhere, that's what you want to do.
To salvage the client.
You want to salvage the client. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had any communication with this person recently?
Just through email, and
Okay.
she won't answer a phone or call me back.
Okay. So what I would do is, just like I mentioned in one of the slides. Now, what was her goal when you were working with her, without getting into too much confidentiality?
Her goal was to lose weight.
Okay. So what I would send her is an email, say, have you given up on working with me in your weight loss goals?
Okay.
Because that is going to provoke, again, that comfortable no response.
Okay.
Okay. And see what happens. What will probably happen at that point is she'll respond. Then she'll give you some information. Now you might want to add to that email on the, or if she says no, then you'll want to respond. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. When is a good time for me to call? Or give her some times. can I call you this afternoon, or would 7 o'clock this evening be better? And the reason you're saying that is you're giving her a choice, but the choice there is this afternoon, 2 o'clock this afternoon, or would 7 o'clock this evening be better? You're giving her a choice, but you notice that one of the choices there would not be no, would not be neither time. So
Okay.
give her a couple of choices, because you actually want to sit down and talk to her. You don't want to negotiate over email. It's very difficult to negotiate over email.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it, but because then you can have that conversation and use some of these techniques. So why don't I play you and you'll play her? Okay, we've gotten you on the phone, right? I've gotten you on the phone. So I'm Roz.
Okay.
And you know, and you've called me, and I say,
So,
okay, are you ready?
yes, I think so. And you're welcome to coach me as
Okay.
as we're
Okay.
going along, please.
Yes. Okay.
Um,
So now here's where I come up with the it sounds like, it feels like. There's some psychology behind rotating those words. I won't get into that. It's but
okay.
I'd say, okay, it sounds like you're still interested in working with me towards your weight loss goals.
So okay, yeah.
So you-
So
you-
you playing me? Is that what I'm
Yes.
understanding?
Yes.
Okay, I thought okay.
Okay.
I thought you were playing the client. So I
No,
was
no,
confused.
no. I'm you.
Okay.
It sounds like you're it sounds like you're still interested in working with me toward your weight loss goals.
Possibly, but the price was an issue.
The price?
Yes, it was more than I was able to afford or willing to pay.
So it sounds like the price was more than you're able to pay.
Correct.
But you're still interested in losing the weight.
Definitely.
Is there a price that you might be able to pay?
Yes, the amount that I sent you the check for.
The amount
But
that
my
you sent me, the amount you sent me the check for?
yes,
No.
which was about $200 less than what you said the total price was.
Now, how am I supposed to do that?
By agreeing to work with me at that price, because I can't afford to pay more.
You can't afford to pay more for your
No,
weight
I'm
loss?
on a very limited budget.
Okay. So it sounds like you're on a very limited budget.
Mhm.
You understood what the price was, but you decided to send me less because that was all that you could afford.
Right, I thought that was the amount that you had said and that we'd agreed to, and then I realized that it was the upper limit of what I could afford.
Can you afford? You said it's $200. Is the difference?
Yes,
Would you be willing to pay $50 per month for the next 4 months to pay that balance?
it's possible. My big concern is I don't know if it's going to work for me, and it's a lot of money that I'm putting out. So
How much
What
would
if-
work? How much would work for you?
well, what if I do your program and I don't get the results that I'm looking for? That's really my big concern.
If you don't get the results, then I offer, if you don't get the results within 30 days, I offer a complete money back guarantee. So that not only would I refund the $200, I would refund the original amount of money that you paid me, because I want to get results. I don't just want to get money, I want to get results. And we'll stop there because we're running low on time.
Right.
But did you follow? Did everybody kind of follow where I was taking that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Totally. Thank you.
Yep. No, I did offer a little bit of a compromise there, but I immediately went, instead of trying to pay less money, I said, well, how about you pay me $50 per month to pay up the balance? And then I'm glad Roz brought up the secondary objection that she may have, which, well, what if this doesn't work? Then I've just thrown away this money. And, I don't know if you guys as coaches give money back guarantees, but I always give money back guarantee within, the first 30 days. If they're not satisfied, then I don't want them as a client because I want to deliver. And that's how it works. Any other questions on that?
Thank you. Yes, there was a question earlier. Could you remind us how we can access your book?
Yes, just email me. Well, you can download it at TonyWCoaching.com, my webpage, for free, or I'll just send you a copy if you just want to shoot me an email. It's Coach TonyW@Outlook.com, and I'll send you a free one.
And I was going to suggest, if you send a link to us, then we can also include it in the email where we send out the recording for the session.
Okay, I can do that.
Everyone can get it all in one place.
Great. Oh, I see a question. Looks like Ella's raising her hand.
Yeah, how do you define success for a money back guarantee? That's from Joe, sorry, first.
That's pretty much up to you and the client, and that needs to be kind of defined in very beginning in your enrollment call when they enroll with you in coaching. So if you're selling a package, a lose 20 pounds in 90 days, which is one of the things that, like Eben, for those of you who've worked through Virtual Coach, and I think most of the people here have been in that program, if they don't lose the weight and they don't follow your program, then that's pretty much you've defined it in your coaching package. Now, sometimes if they self-sabotage, then you as a coach should be working with them to try to resolve those issues so that they are successful. Because with me as a coach, if I'm coaching somebody in a life change, an event in their life, or even if I'm teaching somebody negotiation or persuasion or productivity, anything like that, I want them to be successful, because if they're not successful, then I'm not going to get referrals from that person. And it's all about getting referrals. So I would rather have someone get referrals. Does that answer, or is there anything more? Is there a follow-up on that?
Jill, would you like to ask any other questions? Let me try to find you. I'll mute you.
I see her there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do weight loss, and I work with people on resolving emotional eating, cravings, and self-sabotage. And so it's a little bit, sometimes it can be, unless you're using something like specifically what they're weighing, sometimes it's a little bit harder to measure. So for example, typically, you have a session, they do great work, they seem very happy with it. And I haven't had anybody ask me for money back, but I also haven't had a ton of clients. But I could, conceivably somebody could get to the end of the 30 days and then say, they didn't get any results, even though they were happy with the coaching. And so that's why I'm curious about how you would define success for something like that, because obviously we want them to, we rejoice maybe even more than they do in their success.
Yeah. Well, I always say that if you are not 100% satisfied within 30 days, and my programs are usually 90 days, so I always give them the 30-day window, which actually I got that because that's kind of what Eben does as well. If you've ever noticed that, he doesn't give you the full 90 days because there's got to be a cutoff point at some time. Yes. And if you haven't figured out that, gee, this isn't working for me. So I would just say that that if they feel that they're not satisfied, then I would rather give somebody's money back to them and have them walk away happy than have to deal with somebody who is, because if they're really gonna split hairs like that,
Yeah, you don't
then
want,
this is probably not somebody that you want to be working with.
thank you so much. This was a great session.
Well, thank you, Jill. I appreciate you guys and all your attention and all your great questions. It's been just great to do this, and I really liked doing these little demo sessions a little bit. I wish we had a little more time, but because there's so much there, there's so much content, and I didn't even get into a lot of the deep psychology. But you know, a couple of those books that I recommended, you know, I would definitely follow up on them.
Fantastic.
And I'm using a lot of the same skills as I did, you know, in the field of investigations. And the way I look at it, if I can get a bad guy to sign a confession and shake my hand and thank me at the end of signing that confession, I figure I can figure out how to help somebody to buy a car.